The ancient prophecy spoke of a crystal that could command storms, hidden deep within the Shadowspine Mountains. What it didn't mention was that whoever claimed it would lose their humanity forever. Chiron Thorne had spent 3 years preparing for this moment, studying every map, every legend, every warning. He stood at the edge of the cursed forest, knowing that in 7 days, the constellation alignment would reveal the crystal's location for exactly 1 hour. 127 treasure hunters had already arrived, setting up camps, sharpening weapons, forming alliances they'd inevitably break. They all believed the crystal would make them the most powerful being alive. They were right, they just didn't know the price. But Chiron had discovered something none of them knew. The crystal wasn't just hidden by the mountains. It was guarded by someone who'd been waiting half a millennium for the right person to find her. Someone whose very existence would change everything he believed about magic, power, and the choice between saving the world or saving his soul. The hunt was about to begin, and the real treasure? It wasn't what anyone expected. Chiron adjusted the worn leather strap of his satchel, feeling the weight of his deceased mentor's journal against his ribs. The settlement of Thornhaze sprawled before him, a makeshift city of tents, wagons, and hastily built shelters that had sprouted at the mountain's base like mushrooms after rain. The sensation of being observed prickled across his neck, but when he turned, he saw only the chaos of preparation. "You're either very brave or very stupid," a gravelly voice said. Chiron faced the speaker, a scarred woman missing her left eye, her remaining eye sharp as broken glass. Captain Vex, former military, now the most expensive mercenary money could buy. "Maybe both," Chiron replied, continuing toward the registration tent. "The Blackstone Company has 20 men," Vex called after him. "The Crimson Guild brought 30. You're alone." He paused but didn't turn. "Alone is faster." Vex's laughter was like grinding stone. "Alone is dead, boy. The forest has taken everyone who entered alone. Their bones line the paths like mile markers." The registration tent reeked of sweat and ambition. Behind a rickety table sat Master Aldrich, the expedition's official recorder, a man who'd grown fat selling information about who entered the forest and who never came out. His ledger was thick with names, most crossed out in red ink. "Name and specialty?" Aldrich didn't look up. "Chiron Thorne, cartographer." That made Aldrich pause. His beady eyes swept over Chiron's lean frame, noting the unusual marks on his leather bracers, constellation patterns that seemed to shift in the lamplight. "Cartographer? Not treasure hunter? Not warrior? Maps are their own treasure," Chiron said simply. "Registration fee is 50 gold. Insurance documentation is another 100 next of kin, burial preferences, that sort of thing. Just the registration." Chiron placed the coins on the table, noting how Aldrich's assistant, a nervous youth, kept glancing toward the forest with fearful eyes, as if he'd seen something emerge from it recently. As Aldrich recorded his name, a commotion erupted outside. Chiron emerged to see riders approaching, not just any riders, but the Azure Brotherhood, their cobalt cloaks billowing like storm clouds. Leading them was Prince Darius Fellcrest himself, the man who'd supposedly killed a dragon at 17. His golden hair caught the dying sunlight, and his smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "Good people," Darius's voice carried across the camp. "I bring news from the High Oracle." The camp fell silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. "The crystal's guardian has awakened," Darius announced, his perfect smile never wavering. "She walks among us even now, hidden, watching, choosing who will be worthy." His eyes swept the crowd. "The oracle says she appears as the least, Likely person, someone easily overlooked, easily dismissed, someone who has been here all along. Chiron's pulse quickened. Every person suddenly looked suspicious. The bread vendor, the stable hands, the quiet scribe documenting events in the corner. The guardian could be anyone. Furthermore, Darius continued, the oracle warns that the crystal's power comes with a transformation. Whoever claims it will gain the ability to control all weather, all storms, across all lands. But they will no longer be entirely half-human. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some stepped back, reconsidering. Others leaned forward, greed overcoming fear. Chiron noticed movement in his peripheral vision, a figure in a tattered cloak slipping between tents, carrying water buckets. A servant, invisible to the gathered hunters. But something about their movement, fluid despite the heavy buckets, made him look twice. The figure paused, and for just a moment, he glimpsed eyes beneath the hood, luminous as moonlight, timeless as stone. Then they were gone, vanished into the maze of tents. Those eyes weren't human, he was certain of it. 3 more things, Darius raised his hand. First, the forest has new defenses. The screaming vines have spread to the outer paths. Second, something has been killing scouts, not eating them, just emptying them, leaving husks. And third, his smile grew cruel. The emperor has doubled the reward. 50,000 gold pieces, plus lands and title. The camp exploded into chaos. 50,000 gold could buy a small kingdom. But Chiron wasn't listening anymore. He was thinking about those luminous eyes, about the way they'd looked through him rather than at him, as if measuring something deeper than flesh and bone. Night fell like a closing fist. Chiron set up his simple tent apart from the others, near a cluster of standing stones that predated any map. As he worked, he heard footsteps soft, almost silent. The water carrier from earlier stood nearby, hood still drawn low. You're not here for gold, the figure said. It wasn't a question. The voice was feminine but strange, like wind through hollow trees. Neither are you, Chiron replied carefully. The others see a servant. You saw something else. She set down her buckets. Why? My mentor taught me to notice what others overlook. He said the most powerful things hide in plain sight. Your mentor was Aldwin Thorne. Again, not a question. He came here 20 years ago. He was different from the others. Chiron's breath caught. You met him. Met him. Tested him. Found him wanting. Though not in the way you'd think. She tilted her head. You have his eyes, but not his fear. Interesting. Who are you? Tonight? Nobody. A servant who hauls water and tends fires. She picked up her buckets. But ask me again in 7 days, if you survive that long. She walked away, but her final words drifted back like smoke. Your mentor left something for you. 3rd stone from the left. Midnight. Come alone. Or don't come at all. Chiron stared after her, then at the standing stones. The 3rd one from the left bore carved symbols that seemed to move in the moonlight. He had 3 hours until midnight. 3 hours to decide if he was walking into revelation or trap. Midnight arrived, wrapped in fog thick as wool. Chiron approached the 3rd stone, his hand resting on the knife at his belt. Not that steel would help against someone with storm-bright eyes and knowledge of events 20 years past. The stone stood 12 feet tall, its surface covered in spiraling runes that hurt to look at directly. He placed his palm against the cold surface and waited. You came. The voice emerged from shadows he hadn't noticed. The servant girl stood, transformed, no longer hunched beneath water buckets. She moved with liquid grace. Her cloak was gone, revealing clothes that seemed woven from shadow itself, and those luminous eyes blazed like captive stars. Most would have brought back up. You said, "Come alone." And if I were lying, if this were a trap, then I'd already be dead, Chiron said simply. You didn't need to lure me anywhere. You could have killed me at my tent. She smiled, the first human expression he'd seen from her. Practical. Good. Aldwin was too much of a romantic. It clouded his judgment. She pressed her hand to the stone beside his. The runes flared white, hot, and the stone opened, revealing a hollow interior containing a leather-wrapped bundle. Your inheritance, she said. Chiron retrieved the bundle, unwrapping it carefully. Inside lay a map unlike any he'd ever seen. The vellum seemed to be made of scaled hide, and the ink shimmered between colors. But more striking were the notes in his mentor's handwriting. She is not the guardian. She is the crystal. His eyes snapped to the woman. You're Lysandra, she interrupted. And yes, I am what they seek, though not in the way they imagine. Her form flickered, and for a moment he saw through her, saw storm clouds and lightning, saw power that could reshape continents. The crystal they hunt is my heart, crystallized by a curse 5 centuries ago. If someone takes it, they don't gain power over storms. They become the cage that holds me. Chiron's mind reeled. My mentor knew? He figured it out. Brilliant man. He spent weeks trying to find a way to break the curse without destroying me. Her expression softened. He failed, but he learned something crucial. The curse can be transferred, not broken. Someone else can take my place. That's why there's a hunt every 20 years. You're looking for someone to... No. Her voice turned fierce. I'm looking for someone to help me die properly. Half a millennium is enough, but the curse won't let me simply end. Someone has to claim the crystal first, then destroy it. The problem is, claiming it means absorbing its power, becoming the next eternal guardian. She studied his face. Your mentor thought he could do it, sacrifice himself, but when the moment came, he chose to live, Chiron finished. The shame in those final journal entries made sense now. He chose you, Lysandra corrected. He said his student would be different, stronger, more pragmatic, less burdened by hope. A horn blast shattered the night. 3 long notes followed by screaming. They turned to see flames rising from the eastern camp. The Crimson Guild section was ablaze. What? The defenses have found someone foolish, Lysandra said calmly. Someone tried to enter the forest early, to get ahead of the others. The screaming vines don't like cheaters. They watched as hunters ran with buckets, trying to contain the spreading fire. But the flames were unnatural, green-tinged and hungry, jumping between tents with malicious intent. You could stop it, Chiron observed. Yes, but you won't. Every hunter here came to cage me for eternity. Why would I save them? Her tempest gaze fixed on him. Would you? Before he could answer, a figure burst from the flames, a young woman, her clothes smoking, dragging an unconscious child. She stumbled, fell, tried to rise. The fire was racing toward them. Chiron moved without thinking, sprinting toward the flames. He heard Lysandra curse behind him, felt a sudden wind rise cold and fierce, pushing the fire back just enough. He reached the woman and child, hauling both away from the inferno. The woman was sobbing. My daughter, she wouldn't wake the smoke. Chiron checked the child's pulse. Weak but present. She needs a healer. The healers are with the rich companies, the woman gasped. We can't afford... Here, Lysandra appeared beside them, placing a pale hand on the child's forehead. Silver light pulsed once, twice. The girl coughed, eyes fluttering open. The mother stared at Lysandra with awe and terror. You're her, the guardian. I'm nobody, Lysandra said firmly. You saw nothing. Understand? The woman nodded, frantically, gathering her daughter and fleeing. But others had noticed hunters at the fire's edge were pointing, whispering. Lysandra pulled up her hood, hunching into her servant's posture again. But it was too late. Fascinating, a smooth voice said. Prince Darius emerged from smoke, his perfect hair somehow unruffled. A servant who commands silver light. How unexpected. His hand rested on his sword. Though perhaps not the right word. I've been watching you all evening. Your Highness, Lysandra mumbled, affecting a commoner's accent. You're mistaken. Please don't insult my intelligence. Darius smiled that sharp smile. The oracle described you perfectly. Ageless eyes in a young face. Power dressed in rags. The question is, are you the guardian, or something else entirely? Chiron stepped between them. She's with me. The cartographer? Darius laughed. How delightful. The mapmaker found the treasure before the hunt even began. His eyes glittered dangerously. That hardly seems fair to the rest of us. I found nothing, Chiron said evenly. She's my assistant, good with languages and old texts, useful for reading ancient markers. Darius circled them slowly. An assistant who glows silver. How remarkably convenient. He stopped directly in front of Lysandra. Show me your eyes. She kept her head down. My lord, please. Darius's blade whispered from its sheath, the point lifting her chin. I said, show me your... The sword froze, literally. Ice spread from where it touched her skin, racing up the blade toward Darius's hand. He dropped it with a curse, stepping back. Interesting, he said, flexing his frozen fingers. Very interesting indeed. He smiled wider. I'll make you a deal, assistant. Help me reach the crystal first, and I'll ensure your friend here survives the journey. Refuse, and I'll tell everyone what you are. How long do you think you'll last with 127 hunters after you? Lysandra finally looked up, her storm-silver gaze blazing. You think you're the first to threaten me, princeling? I've watched empires rise and fall. What makes you special? This. Darius pulled out a black crystal shard hanging from his neck. It pulsed with dark light, and Lysandra stumbled, gasping. The oracle gave me this. Said it was carved from your original prison. It can't hold you, but it can hurt you. Badly. Chiron caught Lysandra as she swayed. Her skin was ice cold, and he could feel her trembling. Your answer? Darius asked pleasantly. Partner with me, or become the hunted. Neither. Lysandra straightened, though Chiron could feel her still shaking against him. You can't hunt what you can't find. She grabbed Chiron's hand, and the world exploded into wind and shadow. He felt himself dissolving, reforming, his stomach dropping as if falling from a great height. When the sensation stopped, they stood in a cave behind a waterfall, the sound of rushing water drowning out the world beyond. What how? Storm walking. Lysandra gasped, collapsing onto a stone ledge. Riding the wind itself. Haven't done that with another person in centuries. She looked pale, her lightning-touched eyes dim to gray. Your mentor was heavier. You brought him here? Once. When he first figured out what I was. She leaned back against the cave wall. This place exists between spaces technically inside the forest borders, but outside its defenses. We're safe here. For now. Chiron explored the cave, finding supplies, preserved food, water barrels, even books. You've been preparing for longer than you can imagine. She watched him with those eternal eyes. Every 20 years, I hope someone will be different. Every 20 years, I'm disappointed. What makes you think I'm different? I don't. Yet. She pulled off her servant's cloak, revealing the strange shadow-woven clothes beneath. In the dim light filtering through the waterfall, she looked more spirit than flesh. But you did something interesting back there. You saved that child without hesitating. No calculation, no weighing of benefits, just action. Anyone would have? No, they wouldn't. And haven't. She gestured to a wall covered in names and dates. Every hunter who's come for the crystal, I remember them all. Baron Thorn in 1423 let 30 villagers burn rather than reveal his position. Lady Winterscale in 1443 poisoned her entire team to claim the prize alone. Prince Darius out there? He once destroyed a dam to flood out rivals, drowned a fishing village in the process. Chiron studied the names. So much death, all for power. And my mentor? Aldwin was different. He came for knowledge, not power. When he learned what I was, he spent weeks researching ways to break the curse without destroying me or transferring it. Her expression softened. He treated me like a person, not a prize. It had been so long since anyone. She trailed off. You cared for him. I trusted him. There's a difference. She stood, moving to a natural window in the rock. Caring is dangerous when you live forever. Everything you care for turns to dust eventually. Through the water's veil, they could see lights in the forest hunters, defying wisdom, entering early. One by one, the lights went out. The vines? Chiron asked. Among other things, the forest has collected defenses over the centuries. Some I placed. Some grew naturally from the magic I leak. She touched the stone wall, and images appeared: twisted trees with reaching branches, pools of liquid shadow, creatures that weren't quite wolves anymore. It wasn't always like this. Once, this was just a forest, beautiful, peaceful. Then they cursed me here, and everything twisted to match my pain. Who cursed you? The coalition of storms. 5 arch-sorcerers who feared what I was becoming. Her fingers traced patterns in the air, creating tiny lightning bolts. I was born with storm magic, but I wanted more. I wanted to understand weather itself, to prevent the droughts and floods that killed thousands. I pushed too far, merged too deeply with the elements. They said I was becoming inhuman. They weren't wrong. So they trapped you here? They tried to destroy me, but I was already too much storm, not enough flesh. So they crystallized my heart, bound it to this place, turned me into an eternal guardian of my own prison. She laughed bitterly. The irony. The crystal, they all seek it, would grant them exactly what I wanted. Perfect unity with the storms. They just don't realize it means losing everything else. A comfortable silence settled between them. Chiron found himself studying her profile. Not beautiful in traditional ways, but striking. Her features seemed to shift between young and ageless, human and elemental. Stop, she said suddenly. Stop what? Looking at me like that. Like I'm a person. Aren't you? She turned to face him fully. I haven't been a person since the binding. I'm a curse wearing skin, a prison pretending to be a woman. Whatever you're thinking, I'm thinking, Chiron interrupted, that you're the most human, non-human I've ever met. You saved that child. You're in pain but haven't become cruel. You trusted my mentor enough to mourn him. Stop, she whispered, but stepped closer instead of away. You want to die because you think you've become a monster. But monsters don't want to die to protect others from themselves. You don't understand. Then help me understand. He reached out, hesitated. May I? She nodded slowly. His fingers brushed her cheek. Her skin was cool, but not cold. Soft, but with an underlying charge, like static before lightning. She closed her eyes, leaning into the touch. I can't remember, she breathed. The last time someone touched me without trying to steal my power. The air between them crackled, literally tiny sparks dancing where his skin met hers. Chiron didn't pull away. This is dangerous, she warned. Everything about this is dangerous. No, you don't. When I feel strongly, the weather responds. And I haven't felt anything in so long. As she spoke, wind began swirling through the cave, growing stronger. I could hurt you. You won't. You can't know that. I can. He cupped her face with both hands now. Because if you wanted to hurt me, you wouldn't be warning me. She opened her eyes, and they were pure silver flame. Chiron! Thunder crashed outside, so loud it shook the cave. They jumped apart. Through the waterfall, they could see unnatural storm clouds gathering green-tinged and roiling. That's not me, Lysandra said, alarmed. A figure appeared at the cave mouth, walking through the waterfall without getting wet. Prince Darius stood there, the black crystal shard glowing at his throat. Found you, he smiled. Did you really think you could hide from this? He raised the shard. It's connected to you. I can feel your power through it, leading me right here. Behind him, shapes emerged, his azure brotherhood, weapons drawn. Now then, Darius said pleasantly, let's discuss that partnership again, though I notice you two have gotten closer. How sweet. The eternal prisoner and the idealistic cartographer. Tell me, boy, has she mentioned that anyone who touches her for too long begins to transform? No? Oh, this will be educational. Lysandra stepped forward, lightning crackling around her fingers. Leave, now. Make me, Darius challenged. But remember, he squeezed the shard, and she screamed, dropping to her knees. I can do this all day. You, however, seem quite susceptible. Chiron moved between them. Enough. Oh, the mapmaker has teeth. How delightful. Darius's smile was all malice. Here's what's going to happen. She's going to lead us to her crystallized heart. You're going to translate any barriers or protections. And when we claim the crystal, you both get to live. Otherwise, he squeezed the shard again. Lysandra's scream echoed through the cave, and outside, lightning struck with vicious intensity. The storm was responding to her pain, growing wilder, more dangerous. Stop! Chiron shouted. We'll do it. Just stop hurting her. Wonderful. Darius released the shard. We leave at dawn. Try to run, and I'll use this until she begs for death. Understood? They had no choice but to nod. Dawn arrived, wearing funeral colors, gray sky bleeding into darker gray, the air thick with the promise of violence. Chiron hadn't slept. He'd spent the night watching Lysandra, noting how she flickered between solid and translucent when she thought no one was looking, how her breathing sometimes synced with the wind outside. The transformation, she said quietly, not turning from where she stood at the cave mouth. You're wondering about what Darius said. Is it true? Yes and no. She finally faced him, and he saw exhaustion etched in her timeless features. Touch alone won't transform you, but emotional connection? That's different. The deeper you feel, the more the storm recognizes you as part of me. Eventually, you'd become like me, caught between human and tempest. How long? Depends on the person. Your mentor started showing signs after 3 weeks. Silver streaks in his hair, ability to sense weather changes. dreams of flying. She moved closer, careful not to touch him. That's why he left. Not cowardice protection. He didn't want to become something that would outlive everyone he loved. Ready, lovebirds? Darius appeared, flanked by his brotherhood. Time to claim my prize. They emerged into a forest that shouldn't exist. The trees were wrong, twisted into spirals, bark that looked like scales, leaves that whispered without wind. The path ahead split into 7 directions, each looking identical yet somehow fundamentally different. Which way? Darius demanded. Lysandra studied the paths with an expression of deep unease. Something's wrong, these paths. There should only be 3. Meaning? Meaning the forest is evolving. It's responding to the number of intruders, creating new defenses. She pointed to the leftmost path. That one didn't exist yesterday. A scream echoed from somewhere ahead, human, terrified, cut short. The Crimson Guild had entered early, and they were paying for it. We take the 3rd path, Lysandra said. Why that one? Darius asked suspiciously. Because the others will kill you in ways you can't imagine. She started walking. The 3rd path will only probably kill you. They walked for an hour in tense silence, the forest growing stranger with each step. Flowers made of ice bloomed beside pools of boiling mud. Birds with too many wings watched from branches that grew downward. And always, just at the edge of hearing, something large was moving parallel to them. We're being watched, Chiron murmured to Lysandra. The Thornkeeper, she corrected. It's been here almost as long as I have, drawn by the magical overflow. It doesn't attack unless provoked by violence. An arrow whistled past her head. From the forest emerged the Blackstone Company, 20 sellswords led by a woman with ritual scars covering her arms, Captain Morwen Blackstone herself. Prince Darius, she called out. Another arrow knocked. Fancy meeting you here, with the Guardian no less. Captain, Darius replied smoothly. I don't suppose we could reach an arrangement. We could. You give us the Guardian, and we let you leave with your limbs attached. Counter. Offer, Darius said. You lower your weapons, or I hurt her so badly the forest itself comes apart. He raised the black shard, and Lysandra tensed. But before he could use it, Chiron acted. His knife flew from his hand, striking the shard's chain. It fell into the undergrowth. You little, Darius snarled. Everything happened at once. Darius lunged for Chiron. Blackstone's men charged. Lysandra screamed, not in pain but in warning, because the Thornkeeper had decided they'd made too much noise. It burst from the canopy, a creature of wood and bone and shadow, 15 feet tall, with antlers that scraped the sky and eyes like burning coal. Its roar was the sound of earthquakes. Run! Lysandra grabbed Chiron's hand. They fled as the Thornkeeper tore into the Blackstone Company. Men screamed. Steel met ancient bark and lost. Behind them, Darius was shouting orders, trying to rally his brotherhood against the creature, while frantically searching the undergrowth for his fallen shard. Lysandra pulled Chiron off the path, through a gap between 2 trees that shouldn't have been wide enough for them to fit. They tumbled into a hollow, landing hard on soft moss. Are you insane? She gasped. The shard, Darius will. He was hurting you. I've endured worse for centuries. That doesn't make it right. He helped her up, noting how her hand lingered in his. Besides, now he can't track us. She stared at him. You don't understand. That shard wasn't just for tracking or causing pain. It was keeping my power contained, without it limiting me. The air around her began to shimmer. Electricity danced across her skin. Her eyes went from silver to pure white, and when she spoke, her voice was multi-layered. like a chorus of storms. I can feel it all, every cloud for 1,000 miles, every drop of rain waiting to fall, every lightning bolt yearning to strike. She looked at her hands in wonder and terror. I haven't felt this much power since before the curse. Is that bad? It's catastrophic. The more power I channel, the less human I become. And if I lose my humanity entirely, the crystal manifests physically rips right out of my chest. Anyone nearby when that happens? She shuddered. Your mentor saw it happen once, in a vision. He said it looked like the world ending in miniature. Shouts echoed through the forest. Darius had found his shard. The survivors were regrouping, and they sounded angry. Behind them, the Thornkeeper's roar faded. It had claimed its territory, and would hunt no more today. We need to move, Chiron said. No. Lysandra's expression hardened with resolve. We need to end this. How? There's a place, the Nexus Chamber, where the curse was first cast. If we reach it before the constellation alignment, I might be able to use this unleashed power to break the curse myself. No transfer, no new guardian, just freedom. What's the catch? The chamber is at the heart of the forest, past every defense I've built over 5 centuries. And without the shard suppressing me, every emotion I feel affects the weather. If I get too angry, tornadoes. Too sad, floods. She glanced at him, affected by certain feelings. And we could have lightning storms that level mountains. So we need to keep you calm while fighting through impossible defenses to reach an ancient chamber that might not even work. While being hunted by over 100 treasure seekers and definitely Darius, who will be very motivated to get revenge. She managed a weak smile. Still want to help me? Before Chiron could answer, Morwen Blackstone stumbled into their hollow, her left arm hanging useless, blood streaming from claw marks across her chest. Please, she gasped, collapsing to her knees. It killed them all. My entire company, 20 years of brotherhood gone in minutes. She looked up at Lysandra with desperate eyes. You control this forest. Call it off, please. Lysandra knelt beside the wounded captain. I don't control the Thornkeeper. It came here on its own, drawn by magic, like moths to flame. Then heal me. I know you can. I saw you save that child. And if I do, you'll just try to capture me again. No. Morwen coughed blood. I'm done. This was supposed to be my last job. Earn enough to retire. Buy that farm I've been dreaming of. But my men, they're all dead because of my greed. Tears streaked through the dirt on her face. I just want to go home. Lysandra touched Morwen's arm, silver light flowing into the wounds. The captain gasped as her injuries closed, leaving only faint scars. Go, Lysandra said. Leave the forest. Don't come back. Morwen stood slowly, staring at her savior. You're nothing like the stories say. Stories rarely get it right. The captain left, but not before saying, Darius found the shard. I saw him digging for it like a man possessed. He's gathering the other companies, forming an alliance. They're all coming for you. After she left, Chiron asked, why save her? Because I'm tired of death, following me everywhere. 5 centuries of watching people die for a curse I never asked for. She stood, determination, replacing despair. No more. We reach the Nexus by sunset, or we die trying. They set off deeper into the forest, unaware that Darius wasn't just forming an alliance. He was preparing something far worse, a ritual that would forcibly extract the crystal, regardless of what it did to Lysandra, and hidden in the shadows, something else watched them go. Something that had been waiting half a millennium, for Lysandra to finally have hope again, something that fed on hope. The forest's heart was a graveyard of ambitions. They passed the crystallized remains of treasure hunters from decades past. Men and women turned to glass by touching the wrong flower, stepping in the wrong shadow. Each corpse was a monument to greed, preserved perfectly in their final moments of realization. "Your defenses?" Chiron asked, though he knew the answer. "Some. Others are the forest's own creations. It learned cruelty from me." Lysandra traced her fingers along a crystallized face, frozen in an eternal scream. "I was so angry in the early centuries." The forest absorbed it all. They reached a ravine spanned by a bridge of woven moonlight, literally solidified lunar rays. Impossible and beautiful. "How, on the full moon of my 100th year here, I screamed so long and hard that I pulled the moonlight down. It froze in place, became this." She stepped onto the bridge, which chimed softly under her feet. Another piece of my pain made permanent. Halfway across, the bridge began to sing a wordless melody that made Chiron's chest ache with longing for things he couldn't name. "Don't listen," Lysandra warned, but her own eyes were wet with unshed tears. "It shows you what you've lost." For Chiron, it was his mentor's voice, teaching him to read the stars. For Lysandra, "Mama," she whispered, stopping mid-step. A figure materialized on the bridge ahead, a woman with Lysandra's features but older, wearing the simple dress of a farmer's wife from centuries past. "Lysa, my storm child," the apparition said. "You've been lost so long. You're not real." Lysandra's voice broke. "My mother died 500 years ago, shortly after they cursed me. I couldn't even attend her funeral. I waited," the ghost, Mother said, "waited for you to come home. But you never did. You chose power over family." "That's not I was trying to save everyone. The droughts were killing entire villages. You were playing God. And now look at you, neither human nor divine, just empty." Lysandra fell to her knees, sobbing. The sky immediately darkened, storm clouds gathering with frightening speed. Chiron felt the bridge beginning to fracture under the weight of her grief. He knelt beside her, pulling her against him despite the danger. "It's not real. It's the bridge defending itself." "But it's true," she gasped between sobs. "I did choose power. I did abandon her. You chose to try saving lives. That's not abandonment, that's sacrifice." The ghost mother laughed coldly. "Listen to him defending you. Does he know what you really are? Show him, daughter. Show him the monster." Lysandra pulled away from Chiron, standing slowly. "You want to see the monster? Fine." She let go. Her human shape dissolved into living storm. She became a figure of pure elemental fury, lightning for veins, thunder for a heartbeat, her hair a cascade of rain and hail. Her eyes were twin hurricanes, and when she spoke, it was with the voice of every tempest that had ever been. "This is what I am." The bridge shook. "This is what the curse made me." But Chiron didn't run. Instead, he stood and reached out, his hand passing into the swirling chaos of her form. It burned and froze simultaneously, but he didn't pull back. "I see you," he said simply. The storm froze. "What?" "I see you, Lysandra. All of you. And you're beautiful." "I'm a monster." "You're in pain. There's a difference." His hand found something solid within the tempest. Her hand, still human at its core. "Come back," she reformed slowly, solidifying around their joined hands. The ghost, Mother, shrieked and dissolved. The bridge steadied. They stood there, hands clasped, both breathing hard. "No one's ever," Lysandra started, "seen your true form and not run?" Your mentor mentioned it in his notes, said it was magnificent and terrifying. You read his private notes? He left them for me, all of them, including the parts about falling in love with you. Lysandra jerked back. What? He loved you. That's why he couldn't sacrifice himself, not because he was afraid to die, but because it would mean destroying you to free you. He couldn't do it. He never said, would it have mattered? You'd have pushed him away to protect him. Chiron pulled out a worn page from his satchel. His last entry. Tell her I'm sorry. Not for leaving, but for not being strong enough to stay. Before Lysandra could respond, horns echoed through the forest, dozens of them, from all directions. They've united, she breathed. All the companies, working together. They ran, crossing the bridge just as arrows began falling like rain. The forest path twisted, leading them through a grove where the trees bled silver sap, past a pond that reflected different skies, into a canyon where the walls whispered accusations. Finally, they reached a massive tree, twisted into an unnatural spiral, its trunk opening into darkness. The Nexus chamber is inside, Lysandra said. Once we enter, the defenses will activate. Everything the forest has will try to stop us. Because the forest doesn't want you free? Because the forest is me, in a way. And part of me, she looked away, part of me is terrified of freedom, of who I'll be without the curse defining me. Shouts behind them, the hunters were close. They plunged into the tree's darkness. Immediately, the walls came alive with thorns. Chiron pulled Lysandra aside as a spike shot past where her head had been. The tree knows I'm here, she gasped. It's trying to keep me from the center. They fought through dodging thorns, leaping over suddenly, opening pits, as the tree itself tried to expel them. Behind them, they heard Darius's voice. They went in, surround the tree. They'll have to come out eventually. Deeper they went, until they reached a chamber of pure crystal walls, floor, ceiling, all reflecting infinite versions of themselves. At the center stood a pedestal with an indentation in the shape of a heart. This is it, Lysandra breathed. Where they cursed me, where my heart was crystallized. She approached slowly. If I can channel enough power here where the curse began, I might be able to. Might? Darius's voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. He stepped out of a reflection, somehow inside the chamber with them. That's not very reassuring. How? The black shard. It doesn't just hurt you, it's part of the original curse. It lets me walk through your defenses, step through your reflections. He smiled coldly. Did you think I'd let you destroy my prize? It's not a prize, Lysandra snarled. It's my heart. Semantics. Darius pulled out not one but 5 black shards, forming them into a crown. The oracle didn't give me just one piece. She gave me enough to complete the ritual. He placed the crown on his head, and Lysandra screamed, her form flickering violently between human and storm. Here's what happens now, Darius said conversationally as Lysandra writhed. The crown will force your heart to manifest physically. I'll claim it, gain your power, and you, well, you'll finally get the death you wanted. Everyone wins. You'll become the curse, Chiron shouted. You'll be trapped here forever. No, that's where you're wrong, Darius smiled. The oracle told me the secret, though perhaps she only told me what I wanted to hear. I believed that the curse only traps you if you have humanity to lose. And me? His eyes went completely black. I thought I'd sold my humanity years ago for power. But touching your memories, his voice wavered slightly. I was wrong about many things. The ritual began anyway, dark energy pouring from the crown into Lysandra. Her chest began to glow, something crystalline pushing against her ribs from the inside. "Stop!" Chiron lunged at Darius, but passed right through him. "I'm not fully here, boy. I'm in the reflection realm, untouchable, but able to touch." Darius increased the pressure, though his expression showed conflict now. "But perhaps there's another way." Lysandra's scream shattered every crystal surface except the floor. Her chest cracked open like an egg, revealing a crystal heart of impossible beauty, every color and no color, solid and liquid, containing entire storms within its facets. The crystal heart pulsed once, twice, and the world exploded. Chiron was thrown back as pure magical force erupted from Lysandra's chest. The tree shook, its defenses going haywire, thorns shooting in all directions, roots bursting from walls, sap flooding the floor. Lysandra hung suspended in midair, her crystal heart half emerged from her chest, connected by threads of lightning. Her eyes were white voids, and when she spoke, it wasn't her voice but the echo of every storm ever born. "You seek to claim the Prosciutto, Tempest itself?" Darius laughed, but it was tinged with uncertainty now. "I seek to become it." His fingers touched the heart's surface, and he screamed. His hand was crystallizing, turning to the same impossible substance as the heart. The transformation raced up his arm. "What this isn't," the oracle said, but she must have known. "The oracle lead," Lysandra's multi-voice boomed. "Or perhaps she knew you'd hear what your greed wanted to hear. No one can claim a living heart without becoming one with its owner." "Then we'll be one," Darius snarled through his pain. "I'll take your power and your prison." "No." Chiron stepped forward, his mentor's journal in hand. "There's another way." He opened to a page near the end, covered in calculations and symbols. Aldwin found it. "The curse can be broken, not transferred, if someone willingly bridges the gap between human and storm. Not taking the power, but sharing it." "Impossible," Darius gasped, his entire arm now crystal. "Not impossible, just requiring something you don't have genuine connection." Chiron approached Lysandra slowly. "The curse was created by 5 who feared her. It can be unmade by one who doesn't." "Chiron, no." Lysandra's real voice broke through the storm chorus. "If you try this and fail, you'll be destroyed. And if I don't try, you'll die anyway." He reached out, placing his hand on the exposed crystal heart. Pain beyond description flooded through him, not physical but existential, as if every atom of his being was being asked to become something else. He felt the storm's rage, 5 centuries of imprisoned fury. But beneath that, loneliness. So much loneliness. "I'm here," he whispered. "You're not alone anymore." The crystal pulsed, and he saw Lysandra as a child, playing in puddles, laughing as rain soaked her dress. Lysandra as a young woman, standing before the coalition, begging them to understand her research. Lysandra's first century of imprisonment, screaming until her throat bled. Lysandra meeting his mentor, the first kind word in decades. Lysandra now, torn between hope and despair. "I see you," he repeated. "All of you. Every moment, every pain, every small joy you've hoarded like treasure." The crystal began to warm under his touch. "Stop!" Darius tried to pull away, but he was stuck, the crystallization spreading to his chest. "You're destroying everything." "No," Lysandra said, her voice becoming singular again. "He's healing it." Chiron felt the storm entering him, not taking over, but sharing space. His vision split between human sight and weather sense. He could feel every raindrop for miles, every cloud's weight, every brewing thunderbolt. But instead of losing himself, he felt more complete, as if he'd been missing half his senses his whole life. "Together," he said to Lysandra. She nodded, tears streaming. Together. They pulled in opposite directions, not to separate the heart, but to expand it. The crystal grew, encompassing both of them, then began to dissolve into light. Darius screamed one final time as the black crown shattered. The crystallization reversed, and he collapsed, fully human but unconscious. The tree around them cracked, natural sunlight breaking through for the first time in centuries. Lysandra gasped, her chest sealing, but the crystal heart didn't disappear. Instead, it dispersed into countless tiny fragments, each one seeking a cloud, a raindrop, a breath of wind. "It's gone," she breathed. "The concentrated power, it's spreading back into nature where it belongs." But Chiron was glowing, silver light emanating from his skin. "Chiron? I can feel it," he said wonderingly. "The storm, it's part of me now. Not all of it, just enough." "A bridge," Lysandra realized. "You became a bridge between human and tempest. You're still human, but also more." He looked at his hands, seeing faint lightning beneath the skin. "Is this what you felt like?" "Yes. No. Different." She touched his face, and sparks danced between them, not painful but warm. "You're not cursed. You're blessed. Changed? I don't know the word." The tree shuddered, beginning to collapse. "We need to go!" They grabbed the unconscious Darius and ran. The tree fell apart around them, 5 centuries of crystallized magic dissipating. They burst out into daylight to find the entire forest transforming, twisted trees straightening, corrupted pools clearing, the screaming vines withering to normal vegetation. The assembled treasure hunters stood frozen, watching the impossible. "The forest," someone whispered. "It's dying." "Not dying," Lysandra said loudly. "Healing. The curse is broken, but the crystal," someone started, "is gone. Return to nature where it belongs." She stood tall, no longer hiding. "There's no treasure to claim. Go home." "You lie," Prince Darius stirred, staggering to his feet. "The power has to be somewhere. In you. In him." He pointed at Chiron. "You stole it." "We freed it," Chiron said simply. "It was never meant to be contained." Darius pulled a knife. Lunging at Lysandra, lightning struck him. Not killing, just stopping. He flew back, landing in a heap. Chiron stared at his hand, which still crackled with electricity. "I didn't mean you protected," Lysandra said softly. "That's what the power does now. It protects instead of destroys." The crowd was murmuring, some fearful, others amazed. Captain Vex stepped forward. "So there's no treasure?" "No." "No crystal?" "No." "Then what was the point of all this death?" Lysandra met her gaze steadily. "There wasn't one. There never is when people die for power." She raised her voice. "The forest killed 37 people this week. Good people and bad, clever and foolish, all for something that was never meant to be owned." "And what about you?" Vex asked. "What are you now?" "Free," Lysandra said simply. "For the first time in 5 centuries, I'm free." But even as she said it, she swayed. Chiron caught her, alarmed to find her skin cold, not storm cold, but dying cold. "Lysandra?" She smiled weakly. "The curse was keeping me alive. Without it." "No, no, we broke it. You're supposed to be free. I am free." Free to finally rest. She touched his face. "You have part of the storm now. Use it well. Protect people." Save them from droughts and floods like I always wanted to. Not without you? You have to. I'm 500 years past my time, Chiron. I should have died centuries ago. The crowd pressed closer, but Vex held them back, her one good eye suspiciously wet. There has to be something. There is. Lysandra pulled him down, whispering in his ear. The Nexus. My original body might still be there, preserved by the curse. If you can get me there before. She coughed, specks of silver in the blood. But it's probably too late. Chiron stood, lifting her easily. Which way? You can't be serious, Darius said, rising unsteadily. She's dying. Let her. Take the power that transfers. This time, Chiron's lightning was intentional. Darius crumpled. Anyone else want to stop me? The crowd parted. Chiron ran through the transforming forest. Lysandra's weight nothing in his weather, blessed arms. Each step sparked with electricity, leaving glass footprints in the sand. The other hunters followed at a distance, not to stop him, but to witness whatever impossible thing might happen next. Left? Lysandra whispered, her voice fading like distant thunder. Through the grove of mirrors. The grove should have been hostile, showing them their worst selves. Instead, the mirrors reflected memories, Lysandra teaching Rain to dance, Chiron learning stars from his mentor, moments of joy before everything went wrong. The forest, she murmured, it's saying goodbye. They burst into the Nexus clearing to find the ancient tree collapsed, revealing a hidden chamber beneath perfectly preserved, untouched by time. At its center lay a body on a stone altar. Lysandra. But not Lysandra. This body was younger, frozen at the moment of cursing, unmarked by centuries, wearing the simple robes of a weather scholar. Peaceful, as if sleeping, your original form. Chiron breathed. The curse separated me from it. Created this echo body to be the guardian while my true form slept. She was barely visible now, translucent as morning mist. But I've been apart too long. I don't think. Try. Chiron, if this doesn't work, I need you to know. Tell me after. He carried her to the altar, laying her fading form over the sleeping body. For a moment, nothing. Then, the two forms flickered, overlapping, trying to merge, but something was wrong. They kept separating like oil and water. Too long, Lysandra gasped. Been apart too long. The body doesn't recognize me anymore. There has to be a way. There is. A new voice. They turned to find Morwen Blackstone, the captain Lysandra had healed. The oracle gave me this before I left. Said I'd know when to use it. She held up a vial of silver liquid moonlight. She said it remembers what was separated. Why help us? Chiron asked. Because she saved me when she had every reason not to. Morwen approached the altar. The oracle said it requires a witness, someone who saw both forms. You've seen her as guardian, but has anyone seen her as she was? I have. Another voice. Prince Darius limped into the chamber, supported by two of his brotherhood. His perfect face was haggard, his arrogance replaced by something hollow. In the crystal realm, when I touched her heart, I saw everything, including her last moment as human. You tried to kill her, Chiron snarled, lightning gathering. Yes, and I saw why I was wrong. Darius approached slowly, hands visible. I saw her memories, boy. All of them. Every person she saved with her weather, working before the curse. Every drought prevented. Every flood diverted. Thousands alive because of her. His voice cracked, and I saw my own future. If I'd claimed the crystal. Alone. Forever. watching everyone I might have cared about age and die while I remained. He pulled out a shard of the broken crown, the last piece. This contains the memory of her original form, the moment before the curse took hold. "Why should we trust you?" Chiron demanded. "You shouldn't." "But what choice do you have?" Darius placed the shard on Lysandra's fading chest. "Besides, the oracle told me something else, though I suspect now it was her real message all along. The curse can't be broken by force or sacrifice, only by consensus. The one who caused the harm must help heal it." The shard began to glow, showing an image young Lysandra, standing in a circle of sorcerers, pleading for understanding as power gathered around them. "I witness," Darius said formally. "I witness who she was. I witness," Morwen added. "I witness who she became." "I witness," Chiron said, taking Lysandra's translucent hand. "I witness who she is." The moonlight in the vial responded, flowing out on its own, creating silver threads between the two forms. The fading guardian body and the sleeping original began to merge. Slowly, painfully, Lysandra screamed a sound like breaking storms. Her back arched as 5 centuries tried to collapse into a single moment. The chamber shook, dust falling from the ancient ceiling. "Hold on," Chiron begged. "Please, hold on. Can't too much, then share it with me." He gripped her hand tighter, opening the connection between them. "Let me carry some of it." The pain hit him like a thunderbolt. 500 years of memories, loneliness, rage, grief all flooding through him at once. He felt his knees buckle but didn't let go. Through their connection, he pushed back his own memories short as they were every moment of joy, wonder, discovery. Every sunrise, every perfect map, every time his mentor praised him. "Not enough," he gasped. "Need more." The crowd had entered the chamber. Vex stepped forward, first, placing her scarred hand on Chiron's shoulder. "I witness her mercy." Then another hunter. "I witness her strength. I witness her sacrifice." One by one, even those who'd come to capture her added their voices, their memories, their recognition of what she'd endured. The silver threads multiplied, weaving a net of light around the merging forms. The stone altar cracked. Light exploded upward, punching through the chamber ceiling into the sky. Storm clouds gathered instantly, not threatening, but celebratory, raining silver droplets that sparkled like stars. When the light faded, only one body remained on the altar. Lysandra opened her eyes, not silver anymore, but deep brown with silver flecks, like earth touched by moonlight. She sat up slowly, looking at her hands in wonder. She pressed a hand to her chest, feeling a heartbeat. "I'm mortal." "Lysandra!" Chiron pulled her into his arms, and she was solid, warm, real. "I can feel it." She laughed through tears. "Hunger, exhaustion. My knee aches, I think, from when I fell as a child. I'd forgotten about pain that wasn't cosmic." But then she pulled back, studying Chiron with concern. "You took so much of it." "The storm burden. You're changed." He held up his hand, showing veins of silver beneath the skin. "I'm still me, just more." "Is that a problem?" "That depends. How do you feel about a woman who's lived for centuries but has a body that's technically 25, no possessions, no place in the modern world, and a tendency to attract supernatural trouble? How do you feel about a thunder-marked cartographer who talks to clouds and will probably accidentally strike things with lightning when emotional?" They kissed, and thunder rolled overhead, not threatening but joyful, like the sky itself was laughing. The oracle's tower stood at the crossroads between kingdoms, impossibly tall and thin. Chiron and Lysandra arrived 3 days after the curse broke. Days they'd spent at an inn at the forest's edge, Lysandra relearning how to be human, discovering hunger and dreams, and the simple pleasure of warm bread. But the roads were clogged with people fleeing unexpected weather phenomena: snow in summer, rain falling upward, lightning that drew pictures in the sky. The distributed storm power, Lysandra explained. Without a focus, it's going wild. The oracle waited at the tower's peak, and she wasn't what they expected. No ancient crone, but a child, maybe 12, with eyes older than Lysandra's had ever been. Finally, "The child," Oracle said, "do you know how tedious it's been? Waiting 5 centuries for someone to break that curse properly? You're the 6th sorcerer, the one who voted against cursing you." She smiled at Lysandra. "I've been influencing events ever since, trying to engineer the right circumstances for breaking it. Took 47 attempts. Your mentor was attempt 46. You manipulated everything," Chiron said, anger sparking literally. "I guided. There's a difference. Every choice was still yours." Even Darius the First gave him partial truths, knowing his greed would lead him to the right-wrong conclusion. The oracle gestured to the window where chaotic weather painted the sky. "But now we have a new problem. The storm power is fragmenting reality. It needs anchors." "Anchors?" "People like you, Chiron. Bridges between human and elemental. You can channel and calm the wild magic." She produced a map marked with 12 locations, 12 major convergence points where the power is gathering. If we don't stabilize them within the moon's turn, the world drowns in magical storms, Lysandra finished. "I know this pattern. It's how the original coalition formed." Her eyes widened. "You're trying to create a new coalition, a voluntary one." "Precisely, but not to cage the storm, to shepherd it. Guide it. Work with it instead of against it." The oracle looked at Chiron. "You've already proven it's possible." "I barely know what I'm doing." "Then learn, both of you." She handed them a sealed scroll. "The Emperor has agreed to fund an academy for weather workers." Lysandra's knowledge, Chiron's bridge nature, and 11 others who showed resonance during the curse breaking. "Others?" Lysandra asked. "Captain Vex, for one. When she witnessed your merger, she took in a fragment of storm. Morwen Blackstone has another piece. Even Prince Darius, though his is complicated." "Darius," Chiron's jaw clenched. "He's changed. The crystal memories broke something in him, or fixed it. He's renounced his throne, seeks redemption." The oracle smiled mysteriously. "He'll be your most difficult student, and eventually, your strongest ally." They returned to find the mountain transformed. Where the cursed forest had stood, new growth exploded, magical but not malevolent. Trees of silver and gold, flowers that chimed in the wind, streams that flowed uphill when it suited them. At the forest's heart, where the nexus chamber had been, a new structure was forming: walls of crystallized rain, foundations of solid cloud, a roof of woven lightning. "The academy builds itself," Lysandra marveled. "The storm power wants to learn." They found Darius there, alone, using his fragment of power to guide falling starlight into lanterns. He looked up as they approached, and Chiron barely recognized him. Gone was the arrogant prince. This man looked humbled. "I've been preparing," he said simply. "The dormitories are ready. Captain Vex arrives tomorrow with the first students." "Darius," Lysandra said carefully, "this won't erase what you did. I know. I'm not seeking forgiveness, just purpose." For the first time in my life, I want to build something instead of taking it. A rumble overhead, not thunder, but something deeper. The clouds parted, revealing something impossible. A dragon made of storm clouds, lightning for bones, rain for blood. The storm worm, Lysandra breathed. It's real. It came to witness the new age. The dragon circled once, twice, then dissolved into rain that fell upward, blessing the academy with ancient power. Students began arriving within days. Former treasure hunters who'd absorbed fragments, village weather workers drawn by rumors, children who'd been born during the curse breaking and showed signs of being lightning bonded. Chiron stood with Lysandra on the academy's highest tower, watching their students practice calling rain, guiding wind, learning to dance with lightning instead of commanding it. "Any regrets?" he asked. "About mortality?" "Daily. I had forgotten about hunger, and cold, and stubbing one's toe." She smiled. "But then I remember I can taste food again, feel warmth that isn't stolen, experience time as precious instead of endless. And us?" She turned to him, and he saw centuries of wisdom paired with very human affection. "Us is the best part. Even if you do accidentally lightning strike things when you sneeze." That was one time. They kissed as the sun set, painting the sky in colors no storm had ever made. Below, their students laughed and learned. In the distance, other academies were rising in the convergence points, a network of weather workers, protectors instead of controllers. "You know," Lysandra said against his lips, "we're probably going to face magical disasters weekly. Ancient things will wake up. Political powers will try to use us. Wouldn't have it any other way." Lightning danced between their joined hands, not painful but warm, alive, full of potential. The curse was broken. The real work was just beginning, and in the oracle's tower, the child ancient smiled. Phase 1 was complete. Phase 2, teaching humans and storms to truly coexist, would take generations. Good thing she had time.